Jack Thunder and the Fragments of Anima. Book 2. Water. Chapter 2. Trouble in Paradise. Before Jack Thunder could ask any of the villagers about the sea stone, the village came under siege. Balls of fire fell from the sky and crashed into the ground just as Jack Thunder jumped out of the way. The team scattered, hiding in the bushes as flames continued to fall from the sky. All of a sudden, the doors and windows of the huts burst open, the residents within drawing big handheld bazookas. They all fired at once, sending more of those massive flares into the sky. Back and forth it went, becoming more and more relentless as time passed. Eventually, a pair of doors from the biggest hut in the village burst open, revealing a massive cannon flanked by about 6 talking animals, dogs and cats and mice. They turned it towards the source of the fire and took careful aim. With a series of loud bangs, the cannon fired 3 times, sending blue comets straight into the stratosphere. As they landed with a series of explosions, the attack on the island ceased. The fairies of the village burst into raucous celebration. Slowly, Jack Thunder crept out of his hiding place to confront the villagers. So the village wasn't abandoned, but why were they firing weapons at each other? He thought that the islands were at peace with one another. He approached a group of dog and cat people and barged into their conversation. Hey, what was that all about? Since when does anyone around here have bazookas? Hey man, don't be such a square. They know darn well what they did. We're just defending ourselves against them. What in Alterus do you mean? What did they do? Are you blind? They attacked us. For no reason. That's why we had the bazookas. They needed to learn a lesson. But why? Why did the other islanders attack them? He wasn't getting any good answers from these jerks. He tried something else. Alright, well, if you're not going to tell me what's going on, do you at least know where the sea stone is? At the mention of the sea stone, the group nearly jumped out of their skin. It was almost as if the very name struck fear into their hearts. The sea stone, one dogman barked. What do you want with the sea stone? Guys, look! That's San behind him! Gasped the dog woman. She had noticed the Tengu approaching them from behind the storm gremlin. Is that Stormbringer? A cat woman shrieked, even more terrified than the others. Jack Thunder was getting more confused by the minute. Why were these people behaving like this? Scatter! With that, every fairy in the village rushed back into their homes, slamming and locking the doors tight and boarding up their windows. Jack Thunder and crew exchanged glances. Something was very, very wrong. The group trudged on, this time to the north. They had no success with the last village they visited. No matter how many times Jack Thunder turned it over in his head, it just didn't make sense. Why would they be so afraid of San? And shouldn't they have been relieved that someone had showed up with the Stormbringer? Didn't they know about the trouble on the horizon? About the Heart of Darkness's return? Jack Thunder felt in his gut he already knew what was going on. But he didn't want to focus on that just yet. He had to focus on getting the sea stone. Then he could deal with whatever was leading these people to start attacking each other. Without even thinking, he began humming to himself. It was that song again. That one he'd made up to cheer himself up. Now it wasn't so much about cheering himself up as it was about clearing his mind. At least when he got to the next village, there was a small chance that things would be normal. Then he could figure out what was going on. Jack Thunder didn't even realize how far he had come until he heard a piercing shriek and felt something bowl him over from the side. Before he knew it, one of those talking animals, a squirrel woman this time, was right on top of him, struggling and clawing at him as Frosty pulled her off of him. Growling like an animal, the squirrel woman tried to twist around and bite Frosty's arm, but Frosty quickly froze her jaw shut with her ice magic. She then tossed the squirrel away and froze her arms and legs in place to keep her from running away. What is wrong with you? The squirrel tried to speak, but her words just came out as muffled grunts. Oh, right, that. Frosty unfroze her jaw and repeated her question. What in Alterus has gotten into you? Music hurts, pain, help, she babbled, delirious. Jack Thunder kneeled down to her level. It's okay. How many fingers am I holding up? He asked, holding up 3 fingers. The squirrel woman's head bobbed, her eyes failing to focus on anything. What was going on? Was she having a seizure? Should he get a healer? Her delirium was replaced with pure terror the moment she saw the staff in his hand. She shrieked once more, causing Jack Thunder to reel back in pain from having his ear screamed directly into. The ice held her fast to the ground, but that didn't stop her from frantically trying to flee. Jack Thunder noticed Stormbringer pulsing with astounding speed, but it wasn't blue anymore. It was green, just like when he'd banished the Wendigo that had infested Tempest Island. His face darkened. Now he had his answer. He charged up his staff. He pointed the prongs at the squirrel woman and surrounded her in white light. The effect was immediate. She began retching, black fluid leaking from her mouth. There was much less of it than there was with Terry Paradise, Jack Thunder observed. It was coming out rather easily, too. He could probably handle this without doing much else. Sure enough, the Wendigo slipped out of her mouth rather easily. It was a tiny thing, slug-like with glowing white eyes. That didn't mean it was docile, though. It wriggled and screeched in frustration as Jack Thunder held it in his magical grasp. One quick recitation of the Wendigo banishing incantation later, and the Wendigo was gone. The squirrel woman lay on the ground, having collapsed from exhaustion. Frosty knelt next to her, melting the ice around her arms and legs. Miss, can you hear us? No response, though she was clearly still breathing. Frosty picked her up and slung her over her shoulder. They'd better get this fairy to a lay spa to heal before she got worse. Luckily, Frosty could spot one off in the distance. A waterfall, flanked by glorious mango trees and flowing with the purest water. In the lake below, Frosty could see a bed of tiny glowing crystals, each teeming with water magic. This at least should be enough to restore her charge to health. She pointed it out to Jack Thunder, and he nodded, following her. Frosty set her down on the white sand of the bank and stepped back. The rest of the crew took the opportunity to rest. Sun took a drink from the lake, while Jack Thunder began cupping his hands to catch water from the waterfall and began splashing his face with it. After some time, he took some of the water he gathered from the waterfall and brought it over to the squirrel woman. Without warning, he splashed it on her face. She jerked awake, coughing and spluttering. She took a few seconds to gather her bearings and began looking around. She saw the storm gremlin that had saved her earlier, as well as the Fiffinella that had frozen her arms and legs to the ground, and an elderly Tengu whom she thought she recognized from somewhere. How did I get here? Hi there, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like more from our friend Jack Thunder, you can check out my new book series, Jack Thunder and the Fragments of Anima, on Amazon using the link in the description. Or you can head on over to my Teespring and grab a few things from my shop. And please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content every week. Thank you for watching.